Come on, mate.
I, I did think actually after Wednesday's session, go at some point soon, I will
There
make
you
it a
go.
kind of show yourself or else kind of thing because I do think we need to see each other. We need to
Yeah,
hear each other. But it's lovely to see you now, Darren. Listen, if
must
you
be.
look like me, any other image has got to be better than that.
Do you know, I was just going to say, Christ, look, I'm going to turn the camera back off. I can see that.
It's good. So
I think
Dave, you can hear us and we can hear
I've
you
got my
now.
audio sorted out now. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
can.
yeah,
And
very good.
Darren,
Yeah.
you had a question. So I was just saying, it's
No, it wasn't a
more
question. It was
relaxed.
just
Darren, what was
how.
your question?
No, it was how do I fix my camera? Done it.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
don't need. I don't need you anymore, Mike.
So, well, thank you. So, listen, who's got a win? Who's got a question? What's on people's mind?
Mm, a win. Oh, we'll
Right.
I
make some.
can I can start with a bit of a
Go on,
win.
Scott.
I had the round off to the four of those road shows, Mike, that I spoke about. So on my birthday this week, I drove all the way to Liverpool. Can you believe?
Yeah.
To present for 3 hours.
Did
And
you
then
have a
had
podcast on or something positive on your way up, or were you making fun of
absolutely, yeah, yeah. Some of it I was listening to. I listened to Your Good Self, funny enough,
it? Thank you.
and what am I listening to at the moment? Habits of Success. I'm listening to at the minute, and yeah, just a few things keeping me
Really,
going.
it's really easy. Stick the radio on. Listen, I do it occasionally as well. Bit of GB news, and it makes me bloody angry, so I have to turn it off. But I always thought about my time in the car as university time. Never went to uni, but it's my university and learning time or positive inspiration or nice music to keep you uplifted. So many people put the news on and they don't realize how negatively that is kind of
Yeah,
feeding into you. So, it's a great time to learn and grow. But, those sessions for you, I suspect each one has got stronger and stronger, is it?
absolutely. I mean, I even wrote, and you may not have seen it yet, but I've been involved in a community, what, 6 weeks, something like that, 8 weeks maybe. And a transition in both mindset and business has been absolutely phenomenal. Like
Brilliant.
I
Well, I
wrote you,
appreciate you you
I
you,
wrote you
you
a bit of a
saying that.
mini testimonial in one of the responses I just wrote, but I can't tell you where I was and where I am right now. I mean, clarity of thought as an example. I've done a lot of the work myself, I must admit, in terms of building resilience and strength, and that came from the wheelchair push that I was doing. But 175 days off the drink, no alcohol in the system whatsoever. Down off the morphine and only taking ibuprofen and paracetamol, despite carrying this poxy cage of my lifetime. And can't wait to get it off. But then it's a double-edged sword because the other one's got to be done. So it's lining that up for the next 15, 18 months and the
But some of
shoulder
the guys
surgery.
might know that you fell off a building and have got your legs all bolts through them and everything else,
Oh
and
my God.
are on
Yeah,
that journey to recovery. So,
yeah, so 3 years in, as Mike said, in a wheelchair, major trauma accident, airlifted by Magpass, operated on at the scene, 41 days in major trauma, five surgeries down, four to go. There
mm.
you go. I can do it in about
well,
15 seconds now,
well,
Mike.
well done. It's a good pitch. Well, listen, you guys won't know, but and it was part of my upbringing with my mum and growing up, with a sister who got 9 years for stabbing somebody and a brother who was a street fighter and a stepdad who was a South London Richardson and stuff. But my mum taught us to respect people without looking. If we were blind, what would we see? What would we hear? What would we feel from them? And so I had a kind of discovery call with Scott and I can't not speak my truth. And it's why I'm called a bare knuckle, no nonsense mentor. But it always comes from good intent. And so in that first 20 minutes, I said to Scott, like, I'm not going to talk to you as a disabled person. I'm not going to see you as a disabled person. That is just a kind of geography. I'm going to see you as differently abled. And we're going to talk about what you've got that's amazing. And we're going to talk about the journey where you're going, not where you've come from. Because part of the danger is that we replay our past partly because a human need is love. Okay, and sometimes if I talk about being beaten up by my stepdad, I know I get empathy and love from people, and that feeds me, and that's good. Sometimes we need that, but also it's negative because it's an easy way to get love. It's an easy way to get attention, but it doesn't necessarily grow us. It comforts us, it doesn't grow us. So sometimes we need someone who loves us and understands the toughness of that journey, but then says, "Come on, what next? What next? How are we going to do this?"
Let me just say that as well, because I actually wrote that in the thing that I response I put to your reply, and I quoted your 20-minute one-to-one with me was the start of my re-journey. Okay, and I've taken it an even step forward. So, what did you term it as, Mike? Remind me, because your mum had that saying that
Yeah, you're not disabled, you're differently abled. And actually,
yeah.
it will make you see the world differently. It will make you stronger in other ways and so on. A bit like if someone gets blinded, their hearing becomes hypersensitive and so on. So
So
our
I
body
wrote.
is great at finding different ways if we look for the outcome and the positive. If we want to wallow and be anchored, then it will do that too, you know.
Well, differently abled was the term that Mike used, and I wrote now in the last 8 weeks I've become perfectly abled. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I wrote. So it's taken that next step on the journey, and it's through Mike's help, and it's not just trying to sing his praises here. But I've had mentoring in the past, but that session, even one of the guys actually wrote there was some learnings in it or something he wrote. Mike, I don't know whether you saw that, but he said get this link and it's the replay of Scott's interview with Mike and
All
you know,
right.
there's some real learnings in there.
That
So
might be me.
it might have been you, Darren. I don't know. I can't remember
All
because,
right.
you know, at the moment we got quite a pace on all the postings and things from people. But, you know,
Well, it's
it's
like
great.
the this morning, you know, to your thing. You might not have seen it, Scott, but I said, you know, you were disabled. Your ability was taken away from you. You
Yeah,
then moved to being differently abled. You then moved to being enabled. You then moved to being empowered,
yeah,
and you're already becoming unstoppable. That's just a journey. And once the reason I do mapping and transformation mapping and transition mapping in the way that I mentor is when we get a clear destination of where we're going, the past, yes, it's always going to be a part, but a bit like a car, you've got your windscreen and you've got your side view mirrors and you've got your rear view mirror. We need to keep life in that proportion. The side mirrors are maybe 3% of our visual space, and we need to look occasionally to see what's going on around us. The rear view mirror is probably 2% of the space, and occasionally we look back. But the vast majority of your focus, if you want to safely drive forward and get where you get going, has got to be on the future through the windscreen in front of you. But all too often, people end up, the windscreen becomes this big and the fucking past becomes this big, or they're so busy looking at what everyone else is doing, they forget to go forward.
Can
Sorry,
I
Dan,
just
go
finish
on.
by saying this, Darren, just before you cut in, that,
Go on.
you know, through Mike's help, you know, I've almost transitioned now in the last 8 weeks. I've got one business opportunity up and running, which is the road shows that I'm doing with the health and safety presentations and briefings. Believe it or not, since the ladder fall, I'm trying to develop my own ladder safety product. But in the interim, because that's going to take 2 years to come to market, it might take 6 months. Whoever knows? But you know, that aside, I'm now consulting and with UBS as the company I named them, Universal Building Specialists. I just went 4 road shows across the UK for 150 of their staff, just basically briefing what happened with my accident and throwing up all these pictures of ladders which I've got, which I've taken myself of people working unsafely. It's not that I've just dreamed them up or pulled them off the internet. I've actually taken them myself and seen and stopped people, guys, you know, almost shouted at them up the ladder. Do you realise I'm in a wheelchair because of you, what you're doing right now? You know, that scenario. So that's one good thing. And I'm paid on a consultancy rate. I charge mileage. And then if it's an overnight stop, you know, there was accommodation and dinner, and that was quite nice because that actually was my birthday dinner, having a dinner with the senior team and then talking about the next year's business. So that worked wonderfully. And Mike really said about what I learned from that was that, you know, talking about firing clients, I've just ended up having a very strong discussion with my client of last week, the one that I go in and consult with on a monthly basis. What I do with them is I go in 1 day a week to the office, and there is absolutely no value in me doing it. I've just realised that there's not the monetary or the things that can take it. So I've had the honest discussion with them, and I'll probably end up transitioning out of it.
So just to segue to the question that Darren's got, what I would say is that every connection you have, so whether they're a customer, a supplier, an employer, hell, a life partner, everyone is either an anchor or a propeller. They're either holding you back or driving you forward. Or I can see Michael here, and I'm assuming that's Michael because we've got a few Michaels. Is that you, Michael, with the horses, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Michael Hagan.
I'm here.
So I was going to say, everyone is either the anchor or propeller, or they're a nag or a thoroughbred. Now, often when we first meet them as a client or that, we think, oh, this is a new thoroughbred because they all look like thoroughbreds. They all look good. They've all got the pedigree on paper. But very quickly, when we start working with them, it becomes apparent they're fucking nag. They're never going to win a race, but they're stable blocking us from having the next good customer. And so we need to cut them loose. And people say, oh, no, until I get some new customers. And I'm saying, you haven't got the capacity to get some new customers till you get rid of those bloody customers.
Yep.
Every single year, you should get rid of 10% of your suppliers, 10% of your staff, 10% of your customers to create new energy and capacity, because that bottom 10% fucking drag you down. They're the ones that demand the most, ask the most, pay the least, bitch and moan and drag you back.
And I gave them an extra day, Mike, and that's what I was looking at. And then I had a conversation, and one of the guys came forward and said, "Oh, you weren't around, or we haven't had as much calls this month. Are you going to charge less on your invoice?" And I just looked at him, and that's when it fucking erupted. And I just took deep joy from remembering our conversation and listening to what's going on in the community. And you did a whole thing on the posting there. And then the other great thing is that in the last 4 weeks, I've written a whole divorce podcast manual module system and teamed up with a lawyer to launch in September. I mean,
Brilliant.
fucking incredible, to be honest. Sorry to swear.
Well, and that's why I say this journey from disabled to unstoppable is just a
Unbelievable.
journey. But you're already getting there. Darren, you had a question.
It's more of a contribution to the conversation where it was kind of 5 minutes ago. We moved on a bit. All I was going to raise was Billy Munger as an example of someone who pretty much lost it all, or could have done. Most people in his position would have caved in, but he's just gone from strength to strength. If nobody knows who I mean, I'll find a link to.
Yeah, I'll stick it on the group. I made a note. But
yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
The thing to bear in mind as well is, and I say this with utmost respect, as you know, Scott, but not all challenges are visible. Some people have been disabled by something that's happened to them mentally, or they're a functioning alcoholic or drug addict and stuff, or they're going through divorce and it's just tearing them. And sometimes when I sit with people on the mentoring, they may get upset. I don't care, it's a safe space. They might just come in and say, "Oh, fucking wife, da 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 da." We're all boys on here today, and they go on sort of thing, and then they'll say, "Oh, sorry, Mike, sorry, I'm here to talk about business." I say, "We're the best will in the world, guys, or mate. If I talk about your business now, and then you get back in the car and answer that text to your wife, or get on the phone, everything I've said is wasted. Let's deal with that shit." How do we move forward? And often I've ended up saying, listen, you need to get a funny family lawyer. You need to deal with this. And it will be more uncomfortable for a little while, but then you'll get clarity because they'll tell you how you need to behave, what your wife needs to do, how you need to work with those kids. It will be better for you, for them, for the kids, but you'll have a clear platform on which to build a future. While you've got this friction thinking, I can't go to court because she'll be even worse or he'll be even worse, whatever's anchoring us back, whether it's psychological, physical, family, community, if we don't clear those anchors, we can't propel forward. And if we don't get rid of those nags, they stable block us from getting new thoroughbreds that will win races. And often I get people come to me and they'll say, Mike, we've got great people and we've got good products and the prices are about right. I don't understand it. We're not growing. And I said, well, they all sound like good propellers. And if you're not growing or propelling forward, it means you've got an equal or greater number of anchors. So stop looking at the propellers if you're not moving forward, because they do sound like they're good. Let's look at what's the equal and opposite force. If you've got all those positive things and you're not driving forward, let's look at what the anchors are that's holding you back. And often it's not about new compelling drivers. It's about cutting the shit that's holding you back all the time. Yeah. Well, conversation killer, wasn't it?
No.
You're new to the group. Shafts there, Mike's there. Any questions, anyone? If I can't see you, I can't see if you got a question. So if you haven't got your camera on, stick it in the chat if you got a question, or put your hand up or something in the app there. But Dave, hey Shaft, you.
Good to see you, Mike.
And you, mate. You any questions, Dave, or you just?
Yeah, I've been you know the book you recommended to me, the E-Myth?
Yeah.
I
Michael,
currently I
Michael
currently am
Gerber.
that woman in there that he goes through at the beginning. I've just been absolutely rammed. I have an issue with time and trying to free myself up. But you're like, I said I wasn't going to work Saturdays. Yet here I am. As soon as this call's finished, I've got to go off to a job, and I'm struggling to find the time to do stuff. I'm turning work away. Well, I've missed so many of your calls that I'm 100% intended on getting into, but invariably something comes up and I have to go and fix something or work later and it's just been, I'm struggling for time. I
So,
do need someone else.
Michael, if you, with your permission, let's get, because
Yeah, of course.
we're all here together, and we all probably have that. Let's get into that a little bit, because time is it's what I call the great leveler, in the sense that it's our biggest challenge. But Elon Musk has no more time than you or I have. A homeless person has no more time or less time than Elon Musk. It's how we use that time that's really important. And we need to treat it like fucking diamonds every second, every minute. And I don't know if you saw, but I put a post out last week. People say, Mikey, you got time for a quick coffee? Can I buy you a meal? It's like, fuck me. Do I look like I haven't had enough meals, kind of thing? Do I need a coffee? What the fuck does that mean? Tell me what you want from me and so on. And the reason I'm a bit protective and aggressive like that is, it looks like you're entering again, Michael. The reason I'm a bit protective and aggressive like that is, and I think of my time as being worth £15 a minute. So, why would I waste any of that? So, and I know it's tough, but if you were to list in any day or week what the time stealers were, uh, you know, so my wife will sometimes say, "Oh, Mike, blah blah blah," and listen, I love her a bit. It's been together 37 years, and I'll never be with a different woman. But I'll say, Jules, I haven't got time for this. Can we talk about it on Saturday, 3 p.m. every Saturday? We have a board meeting. We've done it for years. Now, don't get me wrong. If we're having dinner and I'm at, and I'll chat about it, but I don't really want to talk about problems over dinner if I can help it. So we have this hour or hour and a half every Saturday where, if everything else is busy, she knows that we get together on Saturday. I know we can discuss it on Saturday. So with everybody, you've got to take control of that time. It might be sacking some customers, but there is enough time to become a billionaire in your life if you take charge. I mean, and when we say I don't know if you've seen the Yoda sketch. I won't get it now, but it is worth just, if you Google Yoda do or do not, okay, from Skywars, you'll get the little sketch. And it's where he's trying to get Han Solo to get the ship out of the swamp. And he says, use the force, lift the ship, kind of thing. And he says, I will try, kind of thing. And he says, with you, it is always try. There is no try. It is do or do not. And when we use language like I'll try, or I should have, or I could, yeah, I suppose I ought to, our brain automatically, we've given ourselves a trapdoor. We're giving ourselves an escape route. We need to say fucking no. I guarantee you, if your child was had an accident and you got a text or a phone call now, you would cut this call off. Sorry, guys, got to go. Boom, you're gone. If when you start to treat your future with that level of importance, you'll find the time. You'll find the time. So if you want, I mean, look, if I understand if you're not, because sometimes it's awkward, but I believe you, we all deal with this. This isn't something you're alone on.
Yeah.
But why is it that you're not able to find that time, to make that time, to take control of that time?
I think it's because I'm trying to please everyone. I think it's probably what it is. I'm starting to say no a little bit more. But I have some very demanding customers. I actually did have to cut one off this week. She was just, funnily enough, and she was just crazy. She kept changing her mind every 2 minutes. In the end, she like, it was a light switch. I put too low from how she wanted it. And I was going to put it higher, and I told her so. I apologized for putting it too low. She was losing the plot. She totally berated me. Even she wouldn't accept my answer to say, "Okay, I'll put it higher. Don't worry, it's not going to cost you anything."
And firstly, bless you for being honest. Say it's about people pleasing, okay?
Yeah.
And when I was taught, when I was being mentored, the sometimes, the first answer we give ourselves or even others as to why we don't want to buy, as to why there's a problem, is the answer we think is going to land most clearly to get us what we want. So, do you want to buy this? Oh, I'm just a bit busy at the minute. Or so, Yeah, if we can overcome that, would you be interested? Oh, well, I've just got a sort, so I'm a bit tight on cash. If we could overcome that, would you buy in now? And then you'll get the real answer. So the first or second answer is often a quick, I want to say bullshit. It's more considered than that. But listen, you cut straight through because you're a people pleaser. Now there is a growth syndicate behavioral profiling tool in the platform.
Yeah.
And so it means you're probably high I. Now, high I's are amazing. They build great relationships. They keep relationships. They can sell, but they seldom close very well because they're a high I's prime. And listen, they're amazing people, life and soul of the party. But their primary need is to be liked or loved. And therefore, they'll often postpone a sale. So they'll go through the whole sale. They'll postpone the close because they'll say something like, well, I'll tell you what, shall I leave that with you and I'll give you a call on Monday? Why didn't they say, have I answered all your questions? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so should we do this then? Do you want to pay a deposit? They're so scared to do that bit because if the person says no, that's like rejection to a high I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like, oh, so they'd rather postpone it than push to the close and move to the next. Equally, they're so, even when people are abusing high I's, they stay in an abusive relationship, whether it's customer or life, because they they just can't bring themselves to be disliked. But that'll be your superpower. And so, what I suggest is, I mean, look, I do it all the time as a behavioral profiler, but you can use chat and you could go onto chat or Claude and say, look, chat, Claude, whatever, look at the time. I've got 20 minutes. For the next 20 minutes, I want you to be my behavioral tutor. And you can ask it to profile if you want, or you can do my profile, but you've definitely got high I in it. I'm a high I. And you're probably a high S as well, so you're sort of very steady, and you don't jump to things. You like to think them through and so on. So
Oh
I'm a
no, no, I'm
high
not.
S or whatever you count as.
I jump around the
Um,
place.
sorry,
I jump around the place.
yeah.
ADHD. Yes.
Well, but listen, even that, that's like your
Squirrel.
body defending, oh, it's ADHD. I wish we had no fucking labels because it gives people an excuse. Now,
Yeah.
because listen to the podcast I did with Neville Wright. Neville Wright is now worth over 200 million. And he says, well, my fucking superpower is ADHD. I say, that's great, Neville. I've never heard people call it a superpower. Most people think of it as somewhat of a disability. And he said, yeah, fucking superpower. He said, I couldn't sit still for 20 minutes. I got the attention span of a gnat. He said, so because of that, he said, I spent 20 minutes with the guys in the cafe, 20 minutes with the guys on the till, 20 minutes with the guys fitting a car seat, 20 minutes with the guys in the warehouse. By the end of the day, they all felt that I loved them because I spent time with all of them. By the end of the day, I knew exactly what was going in my business because I knew all of them. I was the most in touch, connected owner of a business that I knew because of my ADHD. He said, without that, I'd have sat in the office doing emails on bloody long meetings. And so, do you see what I mean? So we have to pivot and reframe these things.
Yeah.
But you can say to chat, whether it's ADHD, whether it's high I, chat, this is who I am. Good, bad, or ugly. And there's no bad behavior. We are. We can't change our behavior. From the age of 7, it is set. So accept who you are, love who you are, but then say, how can I better address conflict? How can I learn to say no nicely or in a
Okay.
way that fits with my personality? Otherwise, you'll go to your grave trying to please people and not pleasing yourself.
What's the prompt for that? Do you create an agent, or you just literally type a massive blurb about yourself and say, right, you're a behavior profiler?
Jeff's an AI expert here, but let me just show
Hey.
you my little bit. Let's can you see my screen, guys? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So literally, let's open a new chat. See this little mic here. I don't fucking type. I've got fat fingers and slow typing. So jump straight in and say, hey chat, if I was a high IS behavior, and I have a bit of a challenge because I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and I think I've probably got ADHD as well. This is not for me. This is for someone else. Hell, everyone says that, don't they, chat? But if I had that behavior and I had ADHD, can you give me a 20-minute coaching outline of how you could work with me to help me learn to say no nicely, to help me not need to be or want to be such a pleaser so that I can reject people who are trying to exploit my time, my kindness? Give me an outline first of what the 20 minutes might look like, and then we'll get into it. Now, you'll notice I just spoke fast. I spoke normally. I got a bloody Luton and Peterborough accent. It got it all. It took out the ums and ahs. It doesn't fair. It would have taken me ages to type that. If I typed that, I'd have been thinking, oh, shit, I spelt that wrong. Oh, bloody hell, that's American spelling. Blah. It doesn't matter. You don't need to get it perfect.
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah. I don't. I
press
always
that.
type it.
here it goes. Okay, 20-minute coaching session for it. So I didn't need to create a bloody tool for. You could do that, but I didn't need to. It's just there. So what are we going to do? Quick, blah blah blah. It's going to do that. And then if I said, thanks, chat. Listen, I'm not going to get into all of that now, but give me your 30-second. If I was going to see this person who keeps taking a piss out of me and exploiting me in 10 minutes, give me your 30-second how I can close them down and open the conversation in such a way that it makes it clear that I need to address their exploitation of me, and we need to have a serious conversation if we're going to work together going forward. So all I'm doing, I have a conversation. You can do this shit at 2 a.m. if you're woken up and can't sleep. Chat will be there for you whenever, 24 hours a day. Okay. So suddenly it can give you the words, it can give you the language. It's direct but not aggressive, clear boundary setting, for you to focus. And suddenly, and you can say, oh, I wouldn't use these words, I would use that words. I'll give you an example. Hey, chat, that's great. But listen, I'm a bit more no nonsense than that. If it was me doing it as a DI, how might I use that same sentence differently? Because I want to show the person I'm talking to that each behavior would handle this differently. Now, if you spent 15 minutes a day teaching yourself some of this shit, that's 90 hours a year. 90 hours a year will make you more expert than 90% of the population. Okay. So, but if you don't
I'd be D.
address
I
that,
think I'd be D. Yeah.
sorry?
I'd be D, 100%. That's more me than the I.
But honestly, a lot of people think they're one thing and they're not, because a D would never be a people pleaser. Fuck, I've sacked my own brother twice. There's a brother I've got I ain't spoke to for 20 years. I don't give a fuck. If someone abuses me, I walk away. And so
I
there's no
get to a
bad or
point.
good
I think I get to a
relationship, but
point,
if
and then
you're
I'm.
people pleasing, you're not D. You might have D
Yeah.
somewhere in there, and you might occasionally be D when you are driven to a point. But look, if we go into
Maybe via email. I'm a D. with this one woman, I pretty much give her a D response.
well, that's because she's driven you to a certain point. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
yeah,
And that's dangerous, because you need to be able to be who you are naturally. If you
yeah.
become a high D, or you have to do it on email, and a lot of people do this, and when you receive it, if you think, oh fucking hell, Dave's always lovely. What the fuck's this that he sent me? That's really aggressive. If it's incongruent with who they know you to be, they'll just think, oh, he's obviously had a bloody wobble, wrong time of the month or so. They will ignore it because it's not congruent to who they know you to be. So you've got to learn to do it within the way that your preferred profile would do it. If you have to become someone else and put on this mask of Attila the Hun to address it, they'll focus on your behavior in that moment, not the message. And it's really important that you get to the message of how to do that. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you.
I can't think which classroom it is. I'll have a look in to get it out. But who you are is perfectly imperfect, as per the post I put out early in the week. Okay. What you don't need to do is become someone different. That's hard. If we're putting on an act, the truth will out, as it were, and we can put on an act for months, sometimes in a relationship for years. But it's like, fuck, I just want to be myself. I can't breathe anymore. You need to learn to be able to interact and be who you are, to love who you are, to accept that you are perfectly imperfect, but find a way within the framework of who you are to deal with the issues. Because every behavior can do it, and they best do it doing it in their preferred behavior. And that's why I said, look, as a high IS, tell me how I could handle this.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And
thanks,
because
Mike.
it's like a Coke bottle, if you're a high I and you've got to the point where you're now being a high D, and you listen, language exposes people, but you sort of said, oh yeah, on an email, I'm this. Well, that's because you don't want to be at face to face, because it hurts you to be that direct or aggressive with people. Okay, but that's like a Coke bottle being shook up. Being shook up, she's pissing you off. She's taking the Mickey.
Yeah,
You're giving an inch. She's taking a mile. Shaking up, and then eventually it's like you take the lid off. Fuck me, it explodes
yeah.
everywhere.
I think you're spot
And this
on
is
there,
good
Mike.
for
I
you or
think you're spot
them.
on. I
Sorry.
think, yeah. I think you're spot on there. Yeah. Now that you sort of framed it like that, and I think, yeah, you're probably right.
But
You
but
are
but
right.
also a lot of people think, oh yeah, no, I shouldn't be like that. That's a weakness. It, that's why that Shoma Marita, and he's a Japanese philosopher worth looking into, is so important. we can't change who we are. Emotional intelligence can teach me that if I'm full on Mike, you know, Attila the Hun style Mike, I scare people and they don't talk to me. So emotional intelligence has taught me to maybe temper that a little bit. But listen, under pressure, I will absolutely become that person and happily become that person. Hey, Michael, so.
Just on that subject, and I'm going to have to scoot. I'm really sorry. I'm going to a plane. But just on that subject, I have a good friend here in town who owns a restaurant, and he does that. He has a smaller restaurant up at the Sales where we're going on Tuesday, Mike, and he opened up a burger thing at the back in the summer for this horse sales. And without hanging anybody, Michael O'Leary, Ryanair's brother, who is similar sort of state, Eddie, came up and ordered a burger, and there's a queue. And Paul, my mate, said it'll be 10 minutes, and he said, "Yeah, no problem." Paid for it, stood around. After 3 minutes, he came up to him and he said, "Where's my fucking burger?" And Paul, who's normally as quiet as a mouse, he was the Coke bottle. He exploded on him. He said, "You only here 3 minutes. There's people in front of you. If you don't want the fucking burger, I'll give you your money back and fuck off." Now, totally wrong to do it. Now, the first person to come to say hi to Paul every time the sales are on is Eddie O'Leary, because it's over. And I don't know if that's any use to you, but it put the fire out in one shot. And
He's not wrong. He's right, Michael.
Huh?
He's not wrong. He's right.
He's
Yeah.
right. Well, and the right people will probably think, yeah, that guy was rude. But the sad thing is, that guy, even though he was rude, in a normal circumstance, the guy behind who's serving the food would normally be able to say, "Oh, sorry, mate, listen, give me a minute." But that guy was probably paying the price for what had been shaking this guy up for the
Yeah.
day before. He might have
Yeah.
had an argument with his wife.
Yeah.
There's a thing called whose cat are you kicking? You know, someone
Yeah.
cuts you up on the way to work. They don't even realize they cut you up. You're pissed with them. You're fucking angry. They're like merrily on their way, listening to their music. They're having a lovely day. They've ruined your day. You get to the office and you ignore the receptionist, and then someone says, "Have you got a minute?" "No, I fucking ain't." Kind of.
Yeah.
Then they think, "Oh, he's a bastard." And it builds up and it passes on to different people. Someone goes home and kicks the cat. The poor cat ain't done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But it's this kind of boil up, this Coke bottle that culminated in bad behavior because they didn't address it as it went along.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we have got to learn to love who we are, to accept who we are, to be who we are, to the extent that, you know, he could say, let's say he was a high eye, say, "Listen, I'm all for keeping you happy, guys, but I've got a whole line. Just give me a minute. And if that's not good for you, no worries. Listen, I'll let you go. I'll give you your money back." And deal with it like a high eye would. But because the other thing is, the guy would have felt bad about doing that. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd have been happy.
Oh, he felt terrible. He
Yeah.
felt terrible.
And it would have affected his whole day and probably the
Well,
next.
actually, yeah, he just said he was under a massive pressure. But you know what it is? Everybody else who stood there got in line. It was the ones that "No, I got to run. I'm going to miss Ryanair after slagging them off."
Thanks,
Mike,
Michael.
I'll see you
Cheers.
Tuesday. Excuse me running, guys.
Yes.
The
Cheers,
best,
Michael.
Michael.
Take care. See you Tuesday.
Bye.
The behavioral thing, I spent a whole day with a company yesterday that I work with and do the board, the SLT and the ELT. And we're talking all about behavior. If you get that bit right, people do business with people they like, know, and trust. You know, we can't build a business without people. Even with AI, it's a tool. I mean, AI is amazing, but it's got the fucking memory of a goldfish, and it goes from being the most intelligent person on the planet to being a fucking 2-year-old sometimes in terms of its intelligence. So without people driving it, it's just inconsistent, and it's just it's very limited in that regard. So it's all about people. And Alfie Best, you know, in the podcast I did with him, said he built a business to £1 million. He then went bust. And while he was living in his car, renting his house out, and he was sleeping in the car outside the house he was renting out because he didn't want to get rid of the house. And he said, I was a bit down, and he said, I realized in that moment that I built that business to £1 million. I just pushed, I like worked unreasonable hours, it fucked my relationships, but I built it on my own pretty much to £1 million. But in those moments, sitting in the car, cold, sleeping in the car, I realized I would never be able to build a business to 10 million, 100 million, or 1 billion without people. And it was that moment that changed my life, because I realized it was all about people. And if it's all about people, one of the best things we need to become skilled at is understanding behavior, understanding how to optimize interaction, to speak our truth, but to do it in a way that is true to who we are, and somewhat measured to who the person is that we're speaking to. Bit of
Brilliant.
a,
Thanks, Mike.
you never know where this is
Lovely.
going to go. Gaff, you've not spoken today. You got any thoughts, questions, wins? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I actually have one for you, Mike. It
Cool.
might be a bit of a shock. It's not really a business win. Actually, I do have a business win. I'm trying to close my first JV partner. We're gonna use
There is no
AI
try.
to control. Yeah, he's actually a semi-celebrity, and hopefully more details will come out later on once I close him. And we're gonna take control of his back-end systems and his online business, and hopefully leverage AI to get results much more quicker and boost efficiency. But the actual win I wanted to speak to you about was I actually ended up going wing walking
Oh, cool.
a few weeks ago. So wing walking is when you're actually standing on a plane while the plane is actually
Tom
flying.
Cruise there, actually.
Exactly, on Mission Impossible. And yeah, I was in the right place at the wrong time, kind of thing. I was never planned. So yeah, I did that, and that was a huge win because I thought I'd never be able to do it.
Well,
I mean, a
let's
lot, it's
let me connect those two things. So, firstly, congratulations. You know, face of fear, it changes you. The reason
yeah.
that my mentor used to make me climb mountains, cross oceans, blah, blah, was to teach me that I was stronger than I thought I was, and all these kind of mental.
Yeah, I remember when you used to say those kind of stuff to us.
But
So
the
that was in
first
the
thing
back of
I'd
my mind.
say, Shaf, is in that sentences where you were building up to the wing walk in, you said hopefully 3 times. You said we're going to try and convert him. Language is important because, and it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you think, the person who's most listening to your
Mm.
language is you. Okay, so you say I'm going to try and convert him, and hopefully, and this, you've got to we've got to start hearing ourselves, and when we hear ourselves, we've got to start correcting ourselves. So if you hear me, I'll say something. Yeah, I'm going to try and do it. No, I'm not going to try. I'm going to do it. Or yeah, hopefully, this is happening. And you might think, oh, that's just like bullshit, Mike. It's absolutely not. You have to. If you look at dendrites, which connect neurons, which are the neural pathways in our brain that start off weak, but we can create superhighways, the language we use determines the level of confidence with which we go into any conversation, determines the outcome of that conversation. So that language is really important. Now, you probably had same uncertainties on the wing walking, but by just doing it,
Huge.
committing to it, the minute you committed, it goes from nervous, and it's like any kid who goes on a slide they're scared of.
Yeah.
4 seconds after they come off the slide, they're running back up the bloody steps to do it again. Language is important. Try to capture the words you use, not for anyone else, but you. To read.
I'm working on that. Yeah, no, I've over the
You're not
past
working
couple
on
of
it. You're gonna
weeks.
do it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna do it for sure. But I'm working on stopping the using those words. But because it's been such a habit of mine to use those words, and I'm having to stop myself now, slow down, and realize that I'm actually still using those words. It's similar to like when I'm speaking and I'm going and I'm trying to cut that down as well. So I'm seeing myself reflecting real time at what I'm saying, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So,
Listen,
which I never used to do, which is I think is quite a win for myself because
I've spoken on stages all around the world and done Dale Carnegie conference training and all sorts of stuff. And they used to be terrible. They'd record you and they'd say, "Oh, you put your hands in your pockets and you were like wiping
yeah,
your mouth and you were umming and ahhing." And it used to make me fucking paranoid. I used to stand dead still going, what I learned from real speakers, I mean, people who have tens of thousands is fucking and ah. It does not matter. People don't mind that, okay? That is human. You'll do less and less as you forget about it. But if you start saying to yourself, I've got to stop and ahhing, that'll make you so fucking nervous that when you start talking, you'll and ah more. The ums and the ahs don't matter. They're just
mm,
natural segues between conversation. What does matter is the would, could, should, try. Those words are the ones you want to change. Forget the ums and ahs. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's natural, isn't it?
yeah. No, I feel like when I record myself and I listen to myself again, I'm just thinking, oh, that just doesn't sound right because I feel it kind of makes me look a bit unsure or unconfident, or because I'm going and I'm thinking about what I'm saying next, and then just
But
I'm thinking about what other people are thinking about me, which
that
I've noticed a lot.
That's you being an overthinker, okay?
There's my engineering
And
mind,
and
Mike.
in that you said I feel three times in that last minute.
Yeah,
Feelings are not facts. You have
yeah,
to like accept and recognize the thoughts and feelings because they do drive action and they are important, but they're not facts. And also, you said you feel this. Nobody else feels that. It's only you being hypercritical and overthinking. Other
I am.
people, they listen to the message and they know they and are as well. And that, you know what I mean? It's like you expect and want yourself to be perfect. So what you'll almost definitely have in your behavior is high C, which is, is about compliance, is about structure, is about wanting to be great. And
Yeah,
sometimes the positives of a high C is you're really good at the detail, which is probably why you do AI and tech and all that. Really,
yeah.
really good at getting the system. But the limiting part of a high C is that sometimes they want it to be so perfect they never set off, as opposed to a high D might set off and course
That's
correct.
true.
Fucking hell, the wheels are working. That'll do. I haven't got a roof yet, but I can put a fucking hat on. If
Yeah.
you wait for it to be perfect, you'll never get started. If you worry about it being perfect, you'll keep quiet. You have a voice that needs to come out. Fuck the ums and ahs. Nobody cares
Mm,
except you.
that's so true. No,
Listen,
no,
we are,
that's
and
so true.
that's honestly, if you all read a little Shoma Marita philosophy or something, we are all perfectly imperfect. It's really important to get that. I'm not perfect. I'm imperfect. But you know what? I am who I am. My mum fucking loved me, and I'm going to learn to love me too. Because if I loved me, I take myself with my imperfections. And the post that Scott put up this morning in response to a post that I put up is kintsugi. And if you look at Japanese art of kintsugi, where my mum might have given me a bowl and one of the kids accidentally knocked it out, well, we'd throw it away in this culture often, but they repair it. But they don't just stick it back together because that's going to look fucking ugly. They stick it back together with gold. And so when you see a kintsugi bowl, it's more beautiful than it was before it was broken. It's almost worth fucking breaking to do that with it because it looks amazing. And the whole point is something that's been broken but repaired with care, repaired with gold, becomes more valuable than it was before it got broken. And then it becomes a family heirloom because there was a story behind that and why it was worthy of being repaired, and so on. So don't worry about the breaks, the cracks, the imperfections. Pivot and focus them towards a positive new beginning or a positive future. Because
So I think,
danger
yeah,
is if we wait till we're perfect, we
yeah, no,
take our dreams to the grave.
I've noticed that. Yeah, no, I've just decided to take action on a lot more things. But I guess that would lead me to ask the question, how can I stop myself from self-criticizing myself so much?
We'll just fucking stop it.
I'm
I mean,
trying.
seriously, just fucking have a word. Just stop it. I mean, it's like the
I'm
Yoda
trying.
thing. Listen, Star Wars has got so much fucking wisdom in it. I mean, a lot of kids' cartoons have as well. But that little Yoda bit with you, it is always try. There is no try. Do or do not.
Yeah.
If I had this in my hand and said, "Can you try to take that out of my hand?" You'd sort. Well, you can't fucking try. You either do or you don't.
Mm,
All you can sort of it's the word try that somehow, the minute you say I will try, that is telling your brain, well, that means you think you can't. That means you don't believe you can. So you're already
mm,
one, you're giving yourself a trapdoor in case you can't, okay? So that you can say, well, I wasn't sure. I didn't say I'd definitely do it. So that's all almost non-committal in the first beginning. But two, your taxi driver, your creative subconscious, conscious subconscious, creative subconscious, your taxi driver, the minute you say try, is going to say, yeah, you're right, you might not be able to. Last time you tried that, you were shit. Like, yeah. And it'll go for all
true.
of this because it'll give you the evidence to support what you're telling it. If you go into it, I'm going to fucking smash this. Well, you might not always, but you're more chance of smashing it. And I've often say in conferences, I'm not really into a lot of football and stuff, but if I listen to football managers before a game and one says, do you know what? We have got the best team I think we've ever had. They are firing on all bloody cylinders. We're going into this and we're going to come out winning. Okay. Versus the other manager who says something like, "Listen, we're doing well at the minute. We've got a good team, and but those guys are also playing really well, and so we're going to give it our all." I think you've fucking lost. Before you even got into the game, you fucking lost. You can see it. You can because they're giving themselves an out because they don't want the interview at the end saying, "What happened at the beginning? You said you were going to smash it." I'd rather say, "Yeah, listen, I don't know what went wrong out there, but I'm going to have a word with the guys. We're going to work on this." I'd rather overcome that and say, "Well, yeah, I wasn't right on that occasion, but it's a shame because they were fucking great, and I need to find out what went wrong on that occasion." But I wouldn't go into it with that level of doubt because our taxi driver, the creative subconscious is called a taxi driver because it takes us where we want to go. If we'll say, I'll do my best, oh, fucking hell. You know, it's like, that's like saying, just in case I don't, I'll give myself an out. And listen, I've been broke, I've been homeless, all of these things. Psychology, the person you most need to listen to is yourself. The person you most need to love is yourself. Okay. But also, the person you can never escape is yourself. Even if my wife pisses me off, I could get in the car and go down the shop and think, Jesus Christ, you're driving me crazy at the minute. But I can't escape myself. So if I don't sort that relationship out with myself so that I love myself enough to want to be with myself for the rest of my life and to love being with myself, if I can't get that relationship with myself, I'm fucked because literally every second of every day I have to live with myself. I can't get away with the conversations that it's giving me all the time. If you can work on nothing else,
Yeah.
on the language, work on the conversations you have with yourself, but learn your behavior and say, oh, yeah, yeah, every behavior has got some amazing strengths, by the way. I mean it. And every business needs a blend of all behaviors. And so the business I was with yesterday, we were talking about it's got too much D in it. And because of that, they sometimes go forward at 1,000 miles an hour and they don't put the detail in that's necessary. So then they break down. I used to use the example, I had a business partner, Tom, and he was DI and he was ID and I was DI. But we were like drivers of a speedboat. And let's say we were on a lake and it's really clear and the sun's shining and we're firing through this lake and it's great and it's like we're loving it, but we're not looking behind. The guys who are trying to ski behind us and keep up, it's like a really rough ride, and we haven't serviced the engine or filled up the fuel, so we then break down in the middle of the fucking lake. So if I don't surround myself with some S's and some C's and someone who says like an S, hang on, steady on, Mike, I need to check the fucking fuel. Oh, good, because we need to fill up the fuel before we go. So, and come on, because I want to get on it. But I need to recognize every behavior will bring something. And then someone else says, Mike, listen, you can go fast, but we just need to trim the boat a little bit because you're making it a really uncomfortable ride for the rest of the team that are trying to keep up. Okay, a little bit of trim can keep everyone on board. And so we need all those behaviors in order to be at our best and our most effective. But the person who we most need to be at our best and most effective is ourselves.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree.
learn. If I could leave anything on this world more than anything else, it is who you are is perfectly imperfect. And you know what? The day you truly love yourself is the day everything changes for you. And learn to love yourself, warts and all, limitations and all. Some of them you'll be able to build on. Some of them, like, Alfie, we were together, did some stuff at Best Wealth.
Yeah.
Alfie isn't very good at reading and writing because he got taken out of school at 12. He didn't want to, but he did.
Yeah.
Gypsy thing. Okay. So you'll notice when Alfie sends a message, it's often a voice message. Hey, Mike, how's it going? And
Yeah.
send another one. And I'm in a meeting. I'm thinking, what the fuck? And then, so I came out one day and I rang him back. I said, Alfie, mate, if you can type the text as opposed to, I can't listen to a voice fucking message in a meeting or on a Zoom, but I can have a quick look and I can type a response to you. But because it's voice, I've got to make the time to listen. And that might not be for another hour or two. I said, can you just type it? He said, nah, I'm a bit embarrassed because my spelling's bad. And so on. I said, fuck me, Alfie, you're a billionaire. Why are you worried about it? Kind of thing. So even at that level,
Yeah.
two things. One, we still have some like skeletons or fears or doubts. But do you know what? I think part of what makes him a billionaire is he didn't let it go down. He found a coping mechanism. I'm worried about typing. I don't like the spelling, so I'll learn to speak the messages. There's always a way around what you perceive to be a limiting factor. I can find a tool or a system that
Yeah.
will get me around that. So, that little alarm tells me I've got a mentoring session in 5 minutes. But has anyone got a burning question or something they want to share? One thing I want to ask while you're thinking on that is I don't normally share these. And to me, people who come are the people who benefit. And I don't like to share the sessions, partly because people will get lazy and think, oh, just send us the tape, will you, Mike? But I'd really like to share today's session to so people can get a taste of what the Saturday session is like and the sort of things that we can get into anything. But so with your permission, I would like to put this out there as a live sort of session. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yes,
That's
so
my first one. You're televising me already.
You got a face for telly, mate. I've got a face for radio. Listen, if I'm happy to be out there, it's all good. Don't you worry.
That's the same with me. It was my first one.
Hey, Chef, did they give you a parachute on that plane walk, mate?
No, they didn't. I was just strapped on that plane. There was no parachute.
Oh, sure.
Literally, it was, if the plane goes down, I'm going with it.
Yeah.
And
That's
it did a few
commitment.
times, which was hilarious. I mean,
You're smiling
an
about it,
experience.
mate. And if we live life worried about the fact we might die, we never live. I mean, the post I did this morning in the syndicate was some people die at 30,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
5,
Makes sense. Yeah,
every day. Do some.
I've seen a few people like that. When you see them, the life's just drained out of them around those ages, and they're looking back thinking, "Oh, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that." I was like, "Well, why didn't you just do it?" I never had the confidence, kind of thing.
I've got
The self-belief.
I tried to do it this year, but for Cambridge Children's Hospital, but Adam Brooks Charitable Trust, who are running the charity side of that, couldn't get it together. But I've done 3 peaks a couple of times. They couldn't pull it together, and then there were issues with the mountains. But next year, I'd like to do something which is kind of easier to overcome some of the logistics, but could be a syndicate challenge, and where maybe 10, 20, 30 of us cycle across India or somewhere like that. We go on a 3 or 4 day cycle challenge or something, and we'll get something geared up for you, Scott. You're coming with us, all right?
Hey, Mike, I've got the perfect thing for you. In about towards the end of the year, I want to do an event. I talked to you about it, didn't I? But forget the business side. So what I've come up with is actually doing a 24-hour challenge, and I was going to invite people to come and join me for an hour. I'm going to push my wheelchair for 24 hours. Where that'll be, whether it will be at Duxford, somewhere, I don't care. I'm trying to get heart radio behind it. So yeah, I'm doing a big push at the minute. So
let's definitely pick up offline on that then, and we'll tie something in. We could even maybe start with a morning motivation session or something. And
it'd be amazing, Mike. I said to you, I'd love to involve you in it, didn't I?
Well, and they'll get someone like
stopping
Charlie
you.
Mullins or Kevin Byrne or Neville Wright up for it as well and stuff like that.
I'll be fun. And
I'll
I
be
want to
interested
make
to see
it
where that
fun
comes.
after what I've been through. I'll just share it within the group. I want to have some fun with it.
See, sometimes it all just comes together. You get the right people in a coffee morning, and we end up with a new plan for something else for the future. But anyone got a 1 minute question before I dive?
Now, I'm respectful on time. Can I just throw something very quickly? Years and years and years ago, fucking hell, I don't want to admit how long, I was a police cadet, and I spent 2 weeks up in North Wales on an outward bound course, 3 weeks in Cumbria. Too many stories to go into, but the point is that I pretty much hated every single minute of it. But I reflect probably on some of that stuff that built that character in me every single day in everything I do, whether it's DIY, fixing the car, which I'm going to be doing later on, and just, there's no trying, it's doing.
Yeah.
It really made a difference. And, I think,
and it's cliche, but, just do it, Nike, just do it. Or the less acceptable version, just fucking do it. Because, the cliche that comes out of that is I either win or I learn. And both are good. And actually, even if I'm terrified, I then come out and I might not have enjoyed it. One of my girls really hated the school she was at. But now she's like 26. So when did she leave there? Whatever it was, 7 years ago. She's starting to look back and realize, well, that made me strong there. And I got some great friends I made along the way. So sometimes we don't realize the lesson or the benefit of what we've been through until quite a lot later. And we didn't realize it was actually part of our journey. It was actually part of what we were here for. But I'm going to leave you to think on that because I've got to jump to this call. But have an amazing Saturday. Have an amazing weekend. Set some goals that are going to change your next week. Do something amazing. If you've enjoyed this, stick a post up. Say, hey, guys, you missed out on a great Saturday Syndicate Cafe. You need need to be there.
That's great.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Mate.
Good to talk.
Bye-bye.
See you.